Wife left a note on the fridge. It says, "I have made all attempts. It's not working. I can't take it anymore. I am going to stay at my mom's place." Husband comes home, opens the fridge, checks the beer bottle, feels it is chilled, and then says to himself, "What the hell is she talking about? The fridge is working fine." A lady had lost her husband almost 4 years ago. Her daughter was constantly calling her to get back into the dating world. Finally, she said she'd go out, but didn't know anyone. Her daughter immediately replied, "Mom, I have someone for you to meet." Well, it was an immediate hit. They took to one another, and after dating for 6 weeks, he asked her to join him for a weekend in Spain. Their first night there, she undressed as he did. There she stood nude, except for a pair of black panties, and he also naked. Looking her over, he asked, "Why the black panties?" She replied, "My breasts you can fondle. My body is yours to explore, but down there I am still mourning." He knew he was not going to get lucky that night. The following night was the same. She stood there wearing the black panties, and he was naked, but now he was wearing a black condom. She looked at him and asked, "What's with the black condom?" He replied, "I want to offer my deepest condolences." For 3 years, the young attorney had been taking his brief vacations at this country inn. The last time he'd finally managed an affair with the innkeeper's daughter. Looking forward to an exciting few days, he dragged his suitcase up the stairs of the inn, then stopped short. There sat his lover with an infant on her lap. "Helen, why didn't you write when you learned you were pregnant?" he cried. "I would have rushed up here, we could have gotten married, and the baby would have my name." "Well," she said, "when my folks found out about my condition, we sat up all night talking and decided it would be better to have a bastard in the family than a lawyer." "So let me get this straight," the prosecutor says to the defendant. "You came home from work early and found your wife in bed with a strange man." "That's correct," says the defendant. "Upon which," continues the prosecutor, "you take out a pistol and shoot your wife, killing her." "That's correct," says the defendant. The prosecutor then asked, "Then my question to you is, why did you shoot your wife and not her lover?" "It seemed easier," replied the defendant, "than shooting a different man every day." A young wife, her boorish husband, and a young, good-looking sailor were shipwrecked on an island. One morning, the sailor climbed a tall coconut tree and yelled, "Stop fucking down there!" "What's the matter with you?" the husband said when the sailor climbed down. "We weren't making love." "Sorry," said the sailor. "From up there, it looked like you were." Every morning thereafter, the sailor scaled the same tree and yelled the same thing. Finally, the husband decided to climb the tree and see for himself. With great difficulty, he made his way to the top. While he was up there, the sailor started having sex with the wife. The husband says to himself, "By golly, he's right. It does look like they're fucking down there." A girl started noticing a guy who stands in front of her home every day in the evening. She noticed the guy always comes mostly in the evenings and weekends. The guy never tried to talk to her nor showed any gesture, he just moves here and there by looking into his mobile phone and occasionally stealing a stare at her. It went on like that for a year, and the girl understood the guy was in love with her but was too shy to express his feelings. So she told her parents. They too saw him and liked him. They discussed with her grandparents about a likely marriage, but wanted her to make the first move. The next day she went to him and said, "Hi, I'm Fanny." He said, "Hi, I'm Bob." The girl went on and said, "I really appreciate your patience and decency. You have been standing in front of my home every day for about a year now. So I understand that you are in love with me but too shy to say it. I think I really like you too and would love it if we get married." The guy smiled and said, "Forgive me, sister. Actually, your home's Wi-Fi doesn't have a password. So I come here every evening after work to use free Wi-Fi to chat with my girlfriend." A man and a woman had been dating for about a year and their relationship was getting serious. The man proposed marriage, and she accepted. However, she told him that she wanted him to know that her chest was just like a baby's. He said that he loved her and that her measurements didn't matter to him. He told her that his penis was also like a baby's. She said that she loved him and that size didn't matter. Come the day of their wedding, all went well. That night, the happy couple checked into the honeymoon suite at a resort hotel. The blushing bride was in the bathroom putting on a sexy nightie. Her husband was in bed waiting. As she entered the bedroom, she reminded him of her confession about her chest being like a baby. "Don't worry, honey," he said. She took her nightgown off, and her breasts were the smallest he had ever seen. He said that he was going to get undressed and reminded her of his confession about his penis being like a baby. As he took his pants off, the new bride said, "Good God Almighty, I thought you said your penis was like a baby." "It is," he said, 9 pounds and 21 inches long. "60 is the worst age to be," said the 60-year-old. "You always feel like you have to pee, and most of the time, you stand at the toilet and nothing comes out." "Ah, that's nothing," said the 70-year-old. "When you're 70, you can't even crap anymore. You take laxatives, then you sit on the toilet all day and nothing comes out." "Actually," said the 80-year-old, 80 is the worst age of all." "Do you have trouble peeing too?" asked the 60-year-old. "No, not really. I pee every morning at 6 o'clock. I pee like a racehorse on a flat rock. No problem at all." "Do you have trouble crapping?" asked the 70-year-old. "No, I crap every morning at 6:30. With great exasperation, the 60-year-old said, "Let me get this straight. You pee every morning at 6 o'clock and crap every morning at 6:30. So what's so tough about being 80? The 80-year-old replied, "I don't wake up until 7 o'clock. A king wanted his daughter to have a husband, so he puts up a flyer. The first guy comes and the king puts green glitter on his daughter's private part. The next morning, the king checks the guy's private part and there's green glitter all over it. More and more guys come along and the same thing keeps happening. Finally, one day this guy comes along. The king puts the green glitter on his daughter's private part and the next morning checks the guy's privates and there was no green glitter. The king is thrilled and offers the man his daughter's hand in marriage. The guy smiles to accept with a mouth full of green glitter. A guy and his wife went to an expensive golf course. He said to his wife, "Be careful of the expensive houses around us. I don't know if we can afford to break a window." His wife tees off and breaks the biggest window of the most expensive-looking house. He said, "Oh no, we had better go ask how much it's going to be." So he and his wife go up to the house and see the door open. They went inside and saw the golf ball lying next to a broken glass bottle. A man walks up and says, "Thank you." The husband said, "I'm sorry about the..." And the man interrupts, "Oh, don't worry about the window. I have to thank you for getting me out of the bottle. You see, I'm a genie, so you get one wish and your wife gets one, but in return, you have to give me one." The husband asks for $100 million. The genie says, "Done." The wife asks for 80 exotic sports cars. Genie says, "Done." Now, my wish is to have sex with your wife because, I've been trapped in that bottle for so long. They agreed since their extravagant wishes had been granted. And so the genie has sex with the man's wife, not just once, but many times. When they're done, the genie asks the wife, "How old is your husband?" She answers, "He's 33. The man said, "And he still believes in genies?" A man asked his wife, "What would you most like for your birthday?" She said, "I'd love to be 10 again." On the morning of her birthday, he got her up bright and early and they went to a theme park. He put her on every ride in the park, the death slide, the screaming loop, the wall of fear. She had to go on every ride there was. She staggered out of the theme park 5 hours later, her head reeling and her stomach turning. Then off to a movie theater, popcorn, cola, and sweets. At last, she staggered home with her husband and collapsed into bed. Her husband leaned over and asked, "Well, dear, what was it like being 10 again?" One eye opened and she groaned, "Actually, honey, I meant dress size." Three couples marry and stay at the same hotel for their honeymoons, where they are taken care of by Dave the bellboy. The first man married a nurse. Dave thinks to himself, "Nurses are known to be hot to trot." The second man married a telephone operator. Dave thinks to himself, "Telephone operators have sexy voices." The third man married a school teacher. Dave thinks to himself, "Poor guy, teachers are frigid." The next morning, Dave reports to work and gets a room service call from the nurse's husband. He sourly says, "Don't ever marry a nurse. All I heard last night was, 'You're not sanitary, you're not sanitary.'" Then the telephone operator's husband calls and sourly says, "Don't ever marry a telephone operator. All I heard last night was, 'Your 3 minutes are up, your 3 minutes are up.'" Later that afternoon, the teacher's husband calls and happily says, "When you marry, be sure to marry a school teacher. All I heard last night was, 'We are going to do this over and over until we get it right.'" One evening, a father overheard his son saying his prayers. "God bless Mommy, Daddy, and Grammy. Goodbye, Grandpa." Well, the father thought it was strange, but he soon forgot about it. The next day, the grandfather died. A month later, the father heard his son saying prayers again. "God bless Mommy. God bless Daddy. Goodbye, Grammy." The next day, the grandmother died. Well, the father was getting more than a little worried about the whole situation. 1 week later, the father once again overheard his son's prayers. "God bless Mommy. Goodbye, Daddy." This nearly gave the father a heart attack. He didn't say anything, but he got up early to go to work so that he would miss the traffic. He stayed all through lunch and dinner. Finally, after midnight, he went home. He was still alive. When he got home, he apologized to his wife. "I am sorry, honey. I had a very bad day at work today." "You think you've had a bad day? You think you've had a bad day?" the wife yelled. "The mailman dropped dead on my doorstep this morning." A woman meets with her lover, who is also her husband's best friend. They make love for hours. Afterwards, as they lie in bed, the phone rings. Since it's the woman's house, she picks up the receiver. The best friend listens, only hearing her side of the conversation. "Hello. Oh, hi. I'm so glad that you called. Really? That's wonderful. Well, I'm happy to hear you're having such a great time. Oh, that sounds terrific. Love you too. Okay. Bye-bye." She hangs up the telephone and her lover asks, "Who was that?" "Oh," she replies, "that was my husband telling me about the wonderful time he's having on his fishing trip with you."